That's it. Mr. Lanchelay is, he has some kind of minor last-minute procedure today, so he's not going to be with us.
Okay, good evening, members of the Facilities Committee. What I've handed out to you is update on current projects, and I'll just kind of briefly go through those really quickly for you. LEO Jadis Elementary Library additions and renovations. That the concrete building slab is now in place. Underground drainage work is in progress. Wall framing was scheduled for this week. Due to rains, that's slowing up the progress. Milton Elementary middle additions and renovations. Interior demolition is in progress at we call it the phase 1 area, which is the kitchen and cafeteria area. Concrete floor slabs are scheduled to be poured next, weather permitting. Structural steel is due to deliver at the end of this month. The air conditioner pads, concrete pads for the gymnasium air conditioning units have been placed, and ductwork is set to install this week or next. And new electrical feeds to the gym are in place. Stormwater drainage work piping is in progress. For the West Side temporary campus, that's the temporary campus we have at the Scott Middle School site. The modular buildings are set and ready for punch list this week, and the contractor is trying to work between the rains to finish installation of the limestone driveways, electrical feeders, plumbing connections, fire alarm and intercom connections. The West Side Elementary renovations to the main campus building over on Delome Avenue, the demolition work is completed. Reconstruction is in progress. They are working on concrete block walls, electrical, plumbing, and air conditioning work. Southside High School in Youngsville, the phase 1 3-story classroom area. The kitchen, the dining area, and the administration and library areas are nearing completion. Air conditioning is in operation in these areas. Lighting and interior finishes are being installed, and it's set for a completion date of July 31st. As you know, August 9th is the first day of school, so there's a lot that has to happen in a very short amount of time. The phase 2 areas, which are the gym areas, the music, fine arts, the career and technical ed areas, those are set to be completed by the end of December. Those areas will not be occupied by students in the phase 2 areas during the first half of the school year. For BO Elementary School in Broussard, the space programming is completed by the architectural firm. The schematic design is about 10 to 15% completed, which is going to lead right into the construction documents in the bidding phase. The target date for the start of construction is February to March of 2018, with a completion of construction around May of 2019. We haven't finalized the purchase of the property just yet, because we're waiting site plats and approval of those plats by the Planning and Zoning Commission, but all of that stuff is in the works at this time. Como High restroom renovations, we received bids on that yesterday. We'll be presenting that to the board tomorrow night for approval. Child Nutrition Services freezer building, the construction on that building has started, but rain is delaying that progress. And I'm just going to skim through the next ones, but we've got some kitchen, cooler, freezer upgrades and replacements at various schools. We've got an exterior door replacement project at Acadiana High. LJ Alamo and SJ Montgomery have fan coil unit replacement projects that are in progress. Green Tea Linden Elementary is getting a new kitchen hood. Central office has a boiler to be replaced. That central office, the technology building, we're going to relocate the existing emergency generator that's out here between the buildings over to the technology building so we can support our network in the event of a major power loss. Vermilion Conference Center, we have an air handler being replaced. Same at Carencro Middle. There's some driveway repair work going on at Lafayette High as well as Plantation. And we are relocating currently 4 portable buildings, which are board-owned buildings, and we're in the process of removing and sending back home 10 leased portable buildings. So, and a couple of, 3 projects recently completed are Northside High Gymnasium Air Conditioning, Lafayette Middle Cleaning and Waterproofing, and Judy's Middle Cleaning and Waterproofing. Any questions?
Yes. We're in the process of returning 10 portable buildings, leased buildings. How many would that leave us with?
Approximately 12, maybe 14.
What's the long-term goal? What's the long-term plan? I know what the goal is. What is the plan to send those back? We don't.
As they become available, as we can send them back, we will.
No problem.
And quite possibly when the Milton wing is finished and we move in, we will have several board-owned buildings coming out of Milton. So we will be able to probably replace some leased buildings with board-owned buildings at that point in time.
What's the expected completion date at Milton? Not when I say date, I mean.
Yeah, I'm grasping here.
I know, I knew it too, but
It's in the future sometime. I think it's mid-term of
18,
18, I believe.
18. Yeah,
January
I
of
think so.
No, wait, it's not January of 2018. It's January of 2019.
Oh,
I believe.
okay.
It
And that's the entire construction. However, you know, the AC gym, the cafeteria enlargement, the modifications in the library area, that will be done prior?
No, sir. The contractor's working on the cafeteria enlargement this summer. However, and he's working on the gymnasium air conditioning. The renovations to the area where the existing library is and the administration area, that can't happen until next summer because we're going to have the wing, the new library and the new wing is going to have to be completed so we can move the library over. And then once that's done, we can fall back into where the existing library is to renovate that space.
Well, then what are they doing in the existing library as we speak? Why do they have it gutted?
Removal of asbestos floor tiles.
Okay. BO Elementary. It says that schematic design is 10 to 15% complete. A few questions. Number one, are we just doing traditional? It looks like we're just doing the bidding process. There's no opportunity for case manager at risk on this small project, correct?
As far as we know, no, sir, that's not available because each public entity was awarded one opportunity for the construction manager at risk method. Unless the legislature would change their mind, we could go back for a second.
One opportunity below.
One opportunity per public entity is the way I read the statute.
Period.
Yes, sir.
Period. So south side.
Well, Southside was over 25 million.
That's what I'm saying. So anything below 25 million, you're allowed one. And what do we utilize? What do we?
We're using that on Como High Performing Arts.
Performing Arts.
And that's about a $6 or $7 million project.
What about the schematic design? What? Tell me a little bit about that.
The schematic design is a process where the architects have to verify exactly what spaces will be in the building, requirements of the owner, how many classrooms, what sizes, how many special ed rooms, which ones need to have water, like for an art room. They're also working on a conceptual layout of the site, where to place the building on the site. How is it going to function with the streets that are nearby? How are we going to get traffic in and out? All of those things go into schematic design.
What is the design process going to look like? So schematic design is kind of the high level stuff. But when it comes to what the building's going to look like, if it's going to be another Taj Mahal or if it's going to be a basic.
Okay, yeah, that'll fall within the design development phase, which also comes right after, they're going into, I'm sorry, after schematic design becomes design development. So, that's the stages where there'll be not finalizing what it's going to look like, but coming up with more of what they feel it would look like, but they'll also be interacting with myself and the superintendent on decisions that we want, and construction materials and things like that.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, I've heard, I'm sure we've all heard pretty loud and clear from the board that, and I hadn't thought about how to delicately put this, so I'm just going to say that before this gets too far into the design process of another resume building masterpiece design, we need to make sure that everybody, the people who are going to make the decision, have an opportunity to look at it again and say, we want a functioning, modern, basic school.
We've already made that perfectly clear.
Great.
I
Did sit in on a couple.
occasions.
Yeah, I sat in on a couple of those meetings, and we emphasized we want a functional facility that's going to meet the needs of the kids.
And if I can, I can put 2 cents in. I'm on the facilities committee. I think a good model is the expansion at Green Tea Linden. It looks good, in my opinion. It's nice. Mr. Bordelon? You have an opinion, obviously.
I didn't say anything.
But I think that is a good model to go by. It doesn't, it's not over. It's a good model to go by, in my opinion.
No, we did tell them we wanted something functional, but efficient in terms of the limitations of our budget.
Thank you. Ms. Morris?
Yes, I just wanted a little bit more information on West Side, any potential problems. I know the weather is a challenge these days, but seems like they're making very good progress. I've seen the temporary buildings and things are moving ahead. Anything you want to add other than what we have here?
If someone knows an anti-rain dance, appreciate that.
Yes. Okay. The other question is, what about the arts facility at Cobo High? Where are we with that? We're gonna put some bids out. Did we decide if we're going to?
That's going to be done by the construction manager at risk method. The architects are. I'm sorry, I didn't list that one. The architects are working right now on the project. They have given some information to the contractor, which is the Lemoyne Company, to come up with some preliminary estimates of the cost of the building. They have met with Dr. Aguilard and myself, showing us some preliminary concepts. And again, we stress to them the importance of making it efficient. So we expect in about the next month, or next few weeks to a month, that the contractor and the architect should be coming back to us with some kind of numbers. And while it's not the final, they're still working on the building and the design and the structure and things like that. But that's where the construction manager at risk method comes in, where the architect and the contractor collaborate together to come up with some efficient ways to construct the building, and come up with a building that fits within our budget.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions on any of the items? Thank you, Mr. Bordelon. 2.2, consideration of contracted custodial services for Southside High School. Is that, who's going to be presenting on that? Mr. Bordelon or? Okay, Mr. Guidry.
Yes, I will. Yes, there's been some interest in considering taking a look at using a third party to provide custodial services at the new high school. And the status of that particular project is We've submitted an inquiry to the retirement system to determine whether or not we should expect an assessment. And what I'm referring to is whenever there's a privatization of jobs that are currently staffed by employees that the board is contributing to the retirement system, when that occurs, the LSC, Louisiana School Employee Retirement System, assesses their estimate of the unfunded liability that relates to those positions. So we're at the inquiry that we made is, in a case like this where the positions do not exist, how would they view it if we were to use a third party to provide those services? Would they view it as those positions having been eliminated, created, and then eliminated before filled, or not having existed, where we would not be assessed for that actuarial unfunded actuarial liability? And just to give you an idea, I would anticipate if their response were to be that there would be an assessment, I would expect that assessment to be anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000 per position. So if we're looking at 7 to 9 positions, we could be looking at a $700,000 to $900,000 assessment if their response is it would be viewed as creation of the position and then elimination. So we're waiting to see which way they're going to go with it. They've moved it up along the line. We've checked with them on a pretty regular basis, and I guess this is something that hasn't come up recently. They're doing some research. I think their legal department has it at this point.
What is it going to cost the school system what would it cost the school system to staff Southside the same way it is in this proposal? 4 full-time custodians, 4 3-hour custodians on a late shift, plus the services, plus the necessary equipment and cleaning chemicals. Estimate. Do you have an estimate? And I'm asking that on a annual basis.
I would say, with regards to staffing, I would expect preliminary estimates would indicate that the staffing costs would approximate what it would cost us for a third-party contractor to provide it. So I think the difference would be, Ms. Bordelon, I don't know if you can give a rough estimate of what the custodial supplies would be, roughly.
So the $229,000 in staffing, that is, well, this is all inclusive, but what you're suggesting is 4 full-time and 4 3-hour late shift employees with retirement and everything. Benefits would cost us about $229,000 a year, not including any of the equipment, chemicals, etc.
Yeah, I'm thinking if we went by with square footage, we're probably looking at anywhere from 6 to 7 full-time custodians, based on our current square footage allocations that we use for all of our schools. So it's not necessarily the exact same staffing as much as the staffing based on our current staffing allocations would be 6 or 7, which would cost us roughly about what the third-party contractor would cost us. So basically, the savings would be the amount of custodial supplies, the custodial supplies, and then any potential workers' comp claims, things of that nature.
Yeah. And I guess there's not much we can do anyway because we don't have a professional legal opinion. And even if we did, it's June. School opens in August. And you got to put out requests for qualifications or bids or whatever the process is going to be.
Yeah, at this point, halfway through June, that would be a significant consideration if we tried to move forward with something like this, even if we had the legal decision.
However, if we, which it looks like we will, move forward without this option, once we staff that school, there's no turning back. You can't backtrack, because then you've certainly created that liability, whatever it's called. I know the superintendent, Ms. Morrison.
What about medical benefits? Did you mention that? Will we offer medical benefits to contracted custodians?
If there are employees, they would be offered, but third party, their response, they provide the services, and we pay a contracted amount, and that's the end of it in terms of our what we have to provide, our payment for those services, and then the contractor becomes responsible for all those sorts of things.
Ms. Morrison, just to let you know, when we first took office, I sat with Mr. Guidry about this very thing, about actually going district-wide with contracted services, and that's when it was brought to my attention of this unfunded liability that, the retirement system that we're mandated, even if we went to contractual agreement district-wide, we're still responsible for the millions and millions of dollars of retirement. The idea here was to attempt to catch a brand new school because it might not have fit in that criteria. However, even if it were okay and Mr. Guidry got the clearance, we still don't have time to move forward. I'm just going to suggest that we accept the report as it is and we just take no action. There's just nothing. I don't think there's anything we can do to make this happen. Correct. So, with that said, unless you have any other questions, we're done.
I'm good.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.